Michelle, I'm so glad to have you here. Beauties, we have got the fabulous fempreneur, Michelle Scott Lynch, founder and CEO of Bouclème, not Boucleme, but Bouclème, hair care. Michelle, welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Denise. I'm really honoured to be here today.
No, we're really honoured to have you. I'm so excited. So Michelle, let's get started. Let's dig into this. So Bouclème is an amazing brand for hair care focused on looking after your natural curls. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when it started and why it started.
Yeah, well, it started because for most of my life, probably for most of my life when I was looking after my hair, because obviously, you know, when you're a kid, your mum does your hair, etc. But probably from like my teens until 30, I hated my hair and straightened it. I relaxed it. I thought that was what I needed to do in order to feel beautiful, fit in, conform. And, you know, at the time, you know, my mum is Jamaican and she always relaxed her hair. So that just seemed like a normal thing for her to do. So she didn't really know what to do with my hair. Hairdressers didn't know what to do with my hair. And I kind of really lacked any kind of guidance into how to make what I had when my hair was wet, which was nice curls, stay like that when it dried, because it would just literally dry into this big mass, dry, frizzy. And when I turned 30, I was reading the Malcolm X autobiography, and in that book, he talks about conking, which is the term that he refers to relaxing hair. And back in those days, they used a chemical called lye, which was made from potato, but it was really, really strong. And to be fair, most chemical relaxers now are still quite strong. And I was using them, and I'd end up with scabs and sores in my head. And he talked about it as a form of self-degradation and a way in which to conform with a Western view of beauty. And that just completely resonated with me. If I'd read it 10 years before, it may not have. But at that point in my life, it completely resonated with me. And I decided from then on that I was never going to straighten my hair again. So Bouclème launched in October 2014, but the whole kind of making process started a good 2 years before that. So we're talking 2012. I kind of had the idea, talked it through with my husband. He was really supportive and said, yeah, do it. Why don't you do it? And and it took 2 years of like tweaking the products till I was really happy. And they worked for not just me, but my two daughters who are also curly, but have completely different curls to me. That took 2 years.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So that's massive growth in what's relatively a short space of time. I mean, from the idea to sort of getting it to launch to where you are now, because the product range is pretty extensive.
Yeah.
And there's kind of you know, your products are really, really effective. And I love your hair oil, love the protein booster.
Great.
Yeah, so you've got some amazing products. So how does that feel? I mean, now that when you look back, do you kind of pinch yourself? Do you sort of go, wow, I'm so super proud of myself. I love what I've done here.
Do you know what, Denise? I don't. Do you know what? It's really weird. And I think it's obviously to do with me and the type of person that I am, but I never feel like I'm there. Okay. Like I don't ever feel like, yeah, this is it. I've done it. I've cracked it. I never think that. I always think there's so much more to be done.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given. That's a given. But I just mean in terms of what you've achieved so far, do you sort of sometimes go, yeah, you know, this is good?
Yeah, I don't even do that. I'm not good at stopping and pausing in the moment and going, look how far I've come. Okay. So I mean, I can say now, you know, I can sit here now and go, yeah, it's amazing. But I think because I have such, you know, I've got more goals. I find it really difficult to congratulate myself until I feel like I've done everything that I wanted to achieve, if you know what I mean. It's probably not the best way to be, but that is a bit of who I am, I think.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess the rest of us can pat you on the back and say, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So I love on your website where you sort of talk about the brand is about your people, the community, the team, the partners. I thought that was really quite refreshing. And I also love the fact that you said you seek to celebrate difference and make a positive impact. So is that something that's really important to you at your core?
Yeah, 100%, 100% it is. And, you know, I think when I first started Bouclème, it was really important to me that it was like a conscious business. And to me, that means, you know, that yes, we make products that benefit our consumers, but, you know, it goes past that, and we have a positive effect on the planet, but well, not even necessarily a positive effect on the planet, because obviously we're still creating things, we're still taking things from the planet, but that we don't have like a detrimental effect to the planet, and that we have an effect to the community at large. So that kind of goes to like where we can sourcing ingredients from fair trade cooperatives, because I think it's really important that everybody in the supply chain is treated equally and fairly. You know, I'm not saying that we've nailed that on every single ingredient, because it's not always possible, but where we can, within the remit that we have, and with, you know, being a self-funded business, you know, we do the best that we can. And yeah, so part of that kind of community is really that giving back as well, like working with charitable partners like Trees for the Future, where we plant a tree every time you buy a product, a standard size product on our website. And then Malika, which is a charity created by Noella Corsasis, and she basically empowers girls through education in a village in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which that particular charity has a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an amazing charity. And guys, in case you don't know it, that's where we actually first met on International Women's Day. And Michele was sort of leading a panel discussion with Noella. And it was a truly great event, and it was really inspiring. And I think what was really wonderful was seeing two dynamic women sharing that stage and sort of talking about the passion and the commitment to paying it forward and sort of developing the lives of young women and young men in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is not sort of a place that a lot of people sort of focus on in terms of charitable giving and development. So yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Tell me, you what would you say as a fempreneur, as a Black-owned business, are there any particular challenges that you've experienced over the last sort of 10 years of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of challenges. You know, as we've grown as a team, as the business has grown, I've had to, you know, take on a team, and that's been really, really challenging, because, you know, I feel like I'm like the creative person. I'm really good at coming up with ideas and being creative, but actually, you know, managing people and finding the right people for your team is really, you know, it's really important in terms of helping you progress and move forward. So I've always found that quite challenging, and trying to, you know, really find the right people. And in terms, and I mean, we've had along the way, there've been many, many challenges. And like this time last year, we had a fire in our warehouse, which was really the most stressful and probably the biggest challenge that I've had to date. We were really lucky because our products were in the chamber that was furthest away from the fire, but the business that was in the first two chambers lost everything. Like, they lost absolutely everything. But during that process, obviously, we had to kind of, we couldn't fulfill any orders. We couldn't fulfill any orders to retailers, to consumers. And we basically had to kind of effectively kind of stop whilst we took the products that were there, which basically we were waiting for the fire brigade to say, yes, you could go in, the inspectors to say it's okay to go in and remove stuff. Then we had to get it sent to our lab for them to test it and make sure that it hadn't been affected by the heat. And that whole process took such a long time. Must have taken about nearly 2 months. And I mean, this is crazy, but I basically remember the day that I got the text saying there's been a fire, me basically reaching out to my insurance company straight away and saying, listen, there's been a fire, I just want to make sure that everything's covered, and that, you know, what information do you need me to get? And they were like, oh, well, actually, you're not covered for this. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. So at this point, I had no idea that anything was salvageable, but I realized that I'd made a massive mistake not checking the T's and C's and making sure that I was covered for everything. So that was a really, really challenging time. And yeah, I mean, it took us a while to recover. And obviously that meant there was a dip in sales and things like that. But I'd say that's kind of been one of the biggest challenges. And then aside from that, I'd say, you know, just the general kind of challenges of supply chain, and particularly with COVID, there were some supply chain issues. And, you know, we opened a warehouse in America, and we were used to like 4 weeks of products shipping from the UK to getting to America. And then literally what was happening is, because of COVID, there was just like shipping containers just stuck in train yards there for months. And basically it went from 4 weeks to a 3-month process. So, you know, just kind of make sure that we had stock in the right warehouses. And the US has been a really big focus for us. You know, we're really looking to grow there. So what we don't want to do is sell out of stock, but what can you do when your hands are tied? So there's been a lot of challenges, and I've really learned that what will be, because I can kind of tear myself into pieces, you know, stressing and worrying. But at the end of the day, when things like that happen, like a fire and supply chain, it's just, there's nothing you can do. And you just have to kind of try to think through any other potential solutions that you can. But essentially you need to surrender and sit it out and wait.
That sounds majorly stressful. I can't imagine getting that. I mean, getting that text must have been your worst nightmare, honestly. Well, one of your worst nightmares. I mean, there's many things, but yeah, I mean, gosh, but you got through it. Yeah,
we did get through it, you know. And it's so funny when I speak to other brand owners, and well, I spoke to a few at that time, and they were like, oh my God, Michelle, this is literally my worst nightmare. And I was like, yeah, I hadn't even thought of this. This never even crossed my mind, but it happened. But we survived and we got through it, and we keep on trucking.
So what's next? What have you got on the, what pot have you got on the fire that you're sort of gently stirring?
So we've got loads of new products on the horizon. So we've got a really exciting product that's launching at the end of July, which is a plastic-free, waterless product, which I'm really, really excited about, which I'm not going to say anything more about. It's like our most sustainable product launched to date. And then we have a couple of incredible collaborations coming up, which I'm not going to say about, but they are really, 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 really interesting. And yeah, I'm excited for those. And I'm constantly, I mean, I've got a massive list of products that I'm kind of working through. So there's a lot of newness coming, planning for next year.